Hey everyone, it's Blair here from Time Trades, and I'm joined today by Margo Amala. Margo, would you like to give yourself a bit of an introduction and talk a bit about your service?
Yeah, hey Blair, thank you. Happy to be here with you. So I have recently launched a newsletter that is a timing tool for day traders and swing traders. We focus on weekly setups that might play out over a couple of days, and also um, key pivots and key places for moves so that you can know where to get in and get out as a day trader and have confidence that the move will play out. You can follow me on Twitter at Margo_Amala, and let's get into it.
Cool, thanks, Margo. I am Blair. I created Time Trades a few years ago just to fill a gap that I saw in the market for good timing tools integrated with stock platforms like TradingView. And we also apply machine learning. So I've been actively researching and developing new trading tools and timing tools over that time period. So the purpose of today's call is really to review some of the latest discoveries that have emerged from the development lab here at Time Trades Megacorp. And I wanted to share some concepts on how to use this. So the idea here is to take advantage of the diurnal motion of the Earth. So diurnal, it means daily. And what we're doing here is we're helping you as a trader visualize that daily spinning motion of the Earth and display various lines and labels on the chart. For example, when the sun is overhead New York City, and these lines indicate where certain key points are in the daily spinning motion of the Earth. So if we take a look at the diurnal script here, and this is something that's part of the time trade service, this allows us to visualize the diurnal motion centered around the New York City location. We can show the sun as it passes overhead. And we also have some new options here, and this is what I just added, and this is the ascendant bands and then how to map that to price. Now the ascendant is the longitude where the sun and all the other planets rise if you were in New York City. Okay, so sun conjunct ascendant is what normal people call sunrise. Sun conjunct descendant is what normal people call sunset. All right. So this is a longitude, right? It's a location on the Earth, and obviously it moves as the Earth rotates. And what we're doing is we're translating that daily motion of the Earth into lines on your chart. Okay. Now, I created this based on some of the inspiration that I saw from Michael Jenkins' videos on YouTube, and he uses the ascendant quite a bit. Now you can see here how when this is overlaid with the NASDAQ, and when we convert the 360 degrees of the ascendant to $180 of NQ futures, what happens is we get some very nice trend lines and channels. Like this is just from Friday at 10 a.m. You can see how it tagged the orange line here, which is the ascendant. Yellow is midheaven, and that's directly overhead. And red is the descendant, the longitude of the descendant. So we've got the ability in this script here to turn on and off mirroring. So by default, mirroring is off, and we just see how these price levels move up at the rate of the Earth's rotation. Now, without mirroring, we kind of miss this top over here. With mirroring on, now we've got some nice descending channels, we can see we tagged this top here really well, and it provided some support before a deeper flush. So what I wanted to do today is share some of the insights that Margo and I have separately discovered. I know Margo's been researching this a lot. I've been researching this a lot. We've been coming at it from different angles. We've got some very interesting stuff to share with you. So I want to get into that. So with that introduction, Margo, let me turn things over to you, and I can give you rights to share your screen, and you can share what you have discovered here.
Awesome.
All right, you should be able to share, Margo.
Oh, it says I can't share while you're sharing.
Okay, I will stop sharing then.
Let's see, there we go. Okay. Okay, so I started when Blair released these, I really started drilling down into the settings of the dollars per 360 degrees to try to find just the right settings for the instruments that I trade. I trade indexes a lot. So I started with the SPY because I trade the SPY, the ETFs, and the options on it quite a bit. And I started with things like the Fibonacci sequence and basic divisions of like harmonics of 360. And I wasn't quite satisfied with any of those. So I started getting a little creative, and I came over here to some gematria calculators. And there's different ones. So there's different gematria systems. And so I started running gematria numbers for each of these names of the instruments. And then I also pulled up the natal dates. So, well, this is SPX here. So what I noticed, let's stick with SPY right now. So we've got 23 in Chaldean. So I came over here to SPY and I loaded the dollars per 360 degrees at 2.23. And bam, this is what I got. And this is just really spot on. And now this is the direct lines here. So this is before the mirrored lines came out. And previously I wasn't using the tags that much for when the planets were crossing the ascendant, the midheaven, and the descendant, because I wasn't finding enough correlation with the moves to feel like I had space for them on my chart. But when I put these lines on the chart, and then I added the tags, and the way you add the tags here is that you can choose which planets you would like to see the tags. And depending on whether or not you are astrology fluent with the symbols, you can actually turn the symbols off and it'll just tell you exactly what it is. So, you know, for example, this one's midheaven conjunct Mars in New York City. Since I'm an astrologer, I like to keep my chart a little cleaner. I've shortened it up with the symbols on the tags, which is a nice tool. And what I started to notice, I mean, this was Friday here. So I've noticed a lot of things here, but let's start with, you know, you tag the ascendant here, and then we moved ascendant to descendant. So you hit a couple descendant lines, and you know, I'm entering and exiting using, I read price action as like my primary tool. So for example, here, you know, you get the triple top, and I actually usually trade the 2 minute. This is the 4 minute chart, but I keep the 2 and the 4 minute open. So you could have top fished this lower high right here. That's kind of one of the primary tools I like to use when I'm making entries and exits, because you have a low risk. The risk is low, sorry. And you can get out, you know, if it breaks above. So here we go. We had the ascendant to the descendant here. And then we come back up and we've got the midheaven conjunct the sun. And this was descendant to descendant. and then we just drop down again. But if you notice these lines, I mean, this is just pretty much impeccable here. And then we can go back to, well, actually, let's switch to SPX. And so each instrument that you trade is going to be a little different, and it's going to use different settings. So this is the direct settings on SPX. And the way I got the setting I've been using for SPX is $13 for 360 degrees of the ascendant. And the way I got that is I came over here. I use a couple different gematria calculators, a lot of different systems. And then I try all these different numbers, and I don't necessarily, it's not necessarily always going to be the solid number. Sometimes I use decimals, multiples, divisors. Yeah, so it's a lot of math that I sit around and do until I find just the right one. And then here, so I took 13. This one was easy though. Plug 13 in and we get this. And this one was pretty amazing because what I started to notice is that more often than not, last week, because I only watched price action last week on this, but 4 out of the 5 days last week, price closes at the descendant. Now you do have, let's see, is that this one here? So we got to go back here to where price closes, which is at 1600. Right here.
It was close.
Nope, that's the
This is SPX.
the ascendant. That's the SPX. I might be looking at the wrong one. Let's go back here. Here it is. I think I was watching SPY.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
my
yeah,
bad. My bad. Yep, I switched over to SPX, but it's actually SPY. What I noticed was that on the SPY, on most days last week, that price closed at the ascendant. So that's an interesting trade option, because you could take a butterfly, a 0-date butterfly on that, and see how it goes. You know, I mean, it's a little bit risky of a strategy, but when you see that it's playing out more often than not, then that gives you, you know, a high probability or a higher probability of a win rate on that. So if we switch back to SPX, then we added the mirrored lines. And this is a little trickier, I think, to find the settings for. So I spent a lot of time working with it. And what I ended up with on the SPX is a couple different ones. This one is 30, which is just a harmonic of 360. And this 30 is pretty good. But then I decided to try 33.11 for various different reasons having to do with numerology.
Wow.
Yeah, 3.11 is pretty amazing. So that, and then what I like about these mirrored lines is the crosses here give you some pretty interesting trade. So you can see that when you're coming into a cross, that would be a good time to be paying attention. You can, like, let's take a look over here on Thursday, because Thursday was when we had that big waterfall drop. So, you know, there's multiple price action indicators that you could have used for your entry up here. Entry on the break of that lower, the lower high and the lower low. You could have top fished that. Or if you were using these mirrored lines, you would see that this cross was coming here, which would give you an indicator to, like, it's a confluence, confirmation, that you would be looking for a pivot or a reversal here, because you can see that we've got pivots quite often where there's crosses. Here's another one over here. And this one was a little bit more shorter term. So these are things you have to combine reading price action with, so that you're looking for the entry that has confluence. But that's a great tool. So that's SPX on 33.11. Then we'll look at the Qs. So I trade QQQ most often. I really like Blair's NASDAQ setting. That is pretty epic. I played around with the Qs and I got 4.37 here. And I actually have a list of various different ones, because there's there's a lot of different numbers that work. It just kind of depends on what are you looking for exactly in the settings. So this is 4.37 here. I can give you an example of what I'm talking
what I
about.
love about this, sorry to just jump in.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Like right in the middle of the screen there, you see the two yellow lines crossing, right? And then we get a little move up into sun on the midheaven. So that's the sun directly overhead New York. And it hits the descending yellow line, which is also yellow is the midheaven, right? So that's the midheaven longitude converted to price. So we get that cross, we get a move up, we get sun on the midheaven, right at the same time price is touching the midheaven price line, and then it rejects, right? Like that level of confluence is just astounding to me.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, adding these tags in here really levels up the observation, that level of confluence that you can have when you're trading. Another one that I noticed that is, well, Mars is a very predictable one that oftentimes, even if it's just short-term downside, when we get Mars conjunct either the ascendant or the midheaven, we oftentimes end up with a move down. Pluto is another one. So Pluto is another one that you oftentimes get a short-term move down here.
It's so great to see how you use this, Margo, because, you know, I think we all use these things a little differently, and I know I do, and you're giving me some great ideas to explore.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Blair. I think the last one I could share with you guys that has a pretty cool setting on it is, this is the direct lines and gold. And I actually don't trade gold on the super short term. I tend to like to swing trade gold. So the 15-minute is nice and gives you good entry signals. But I thought that the 618 on direct, 0.618, is pretty awesome. I mean, you get ascendant to descendant here pretty frequently. It's a lot of lines. I could get cleaned up a little bit, I think, but that's a pretty good setting there. And I actually like to use gold in London, and I just realized that we're set to New York here, so let's move that.
What if you just 10x the 0.618, so 6.18 instead of 0.618? Have you tried that?
London is better. I have tried that, and you know, it's just not, it's not that see, it's just not good. I don't know, because I've done a lot of math with these things, trying like doubling, multiplying, dividing, you know, and I'm just not getting the same results. Like sometimes, for example, like the SPY on the direct lines was 2.23, and then I was able to double that on the mirrored lines and get 4.46, and that was good. But it's just not been that clean and simple on a lot of the other ones.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I think that's that kind of summarizes what I've got. Do you have any other thoughts, Blair?
No, that's awesome. So I think I'll show a little bit about what I've discovered in the past week of playing around with these things. And yeah, I hope everyone watching this is as excited about this as Margo and I are, because yeah, it's pretty impressive, really, what's capable using these. All right, so I'm just going to take back the screen share here, Margo, and I'm going to flip over to my trading view. All right. Okay. So what we're looking at here, of course, is NQ futures with a setting of 180 on New York with mirrored bands. Okay, so you can just instantly see how solid this is by capturing the resistance levels over here and the support levels here. And then again, we've got sun conjunct the midheaven right on this little recovery top. And you know what's really interesting here is you get these are effectively hidden trend lines, right? That no one else will have on their chart, right? Like no one would connect this point, and this point on their chart unless they are using this tool, right? But these actually, it's 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, make for a very clear trend line. We can scroll back a little bit more and take a look at the prior trading day and see how that went. Again, we've got sun on the midheaven, losing a key level. There was 1, 2, 3 attempts to sort of separate above here. Let's just turn on GAN fans as well, because I think when combined with GAN fans, this gives an insane level of confluence, right? So now we can see we've got a GAN fan here, and it made 1, 2, 3 attempts to break over that fan, failed. Sun hits solar noon in New York. And once we lose this orange ascendant line, it's in a waterfall decline here, back down through 1, 2, 3 GAN fans, and the fourth one down here provides a bit of support at 15,200. So very, very tradable, but the key is to look for, as Margo said, that confluence of price action, right? Law of 3, 1, 2, 3 hits in a key spot right at a GAN fan. And then, you know, there's some sort of astro trigger. In this case, it was solar noon, and that just set it off. So this is all super interesting, and oh my goodness, look at this hit on a GAN fan. You know, I love my GAN fans. They're just kind of incredible. Hit. Anyways, I want to also show Bitcoin before we close this call, because there's something really interesting on Bitcoin. Now, I don't know how many of you have studied John Long's universal clock, but this is like a miniature version of that on a super short scalping time frame. So when you look at Bitcoin, you can see, like, focus your eyes on where the lines cross, especially lines of similar color. Okay, so if we do that, we can see that often there is a cross of 2 of the lines of similar color will result in equal price. So we can see here we've got 2 yellows crossing. Again, yellow is the ascendant, right? And price is down here, and we can go forward in time and we can see it's close, but not quite exactly the same price there. So this was an idea that John Long applied to planetary aspects. Okay, so we can apply this idea here. If we look at orange, now obviously orange down here prices at 26,820, and where the orange crosses over here, it's 27,000, over 27,000. But if we take like the price 26,820, add 360 to it, which is the band size that I'm using, right? So 26820 plus 360, and we get 27,180, right? And that is close to this top here, not quite. But let's go back and see a few more examples here. It seems to work a little bit better with kind of like weekend shop is what I'm seeing. So we've got 2 yellows here, prices down here, 26,707, go across to the previous time. We've got 2 yellows crossing, and it's the same, right? So we've got price touching at the same spot. So this is one of those interesting examples of price kind of balancing out at similar spots. And you can go through and do some more testing of this yourself. But the settings I'm using here for Bitcoin are New York City, 360, and mirror bands. Now, the thing about Bitcoin, of course, it's a 24/7 market. So as the sun moves around, well, the sun doesn't move, of course, but as the Earth rotates, you're going to have to adjust your ascendant band location and tweak it. So as we head into the evening here in North America, I will adjust this to show the ascendant location for Tokyo. All right, so that's it from Margo and I. I just wanted to give everyone here an update on the capabilities of this new tool in the Time Trades Toolkit. And I hope everyone is as excited as we are about this. Margo, anything else to add before we close the call?
No, I'm looking forward to using the mirrored lines this week for trading. And so I hope all this information was useful for everybody.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
And certainly I learned a lot from your gematria approach and research in finding the band size that is most effective. So thanks again for sharing that. Okay, everyone, thanks for using Time Trades. Thanks for using Margo's newsletter, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye now.
Bye.